everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to tell you about Advocates for Youth, what we do with our organizing, and the ways that you can get involved. So Advocates for Youth works with youth activists ages 14 to 24 to organize through an intersectional and reproductive justice lens. We focus on sexual health and LGBTQ rights and reproductive rights and justice as well. So how do our programs really work? We have different teams that you'll learn about today who are all focused on different issue areas that they organize around. This is a great space for you to plug in and support your campaigns. Some folks may organize through our programs with campaigns that they're already running, looking for extra additional support through their campaigns, or some folks may be joining a team that is organizing around specific campaign or issue area, and they're really plugging into this national or localized work and figuring out how to support their work through that. So Advocates for Youth kind of does our work in a couple different ways. One, we train educators, physicians, and patients about how to build supportive environments for LGBTQ youth and other young folks. We also have digital projects that are organizing nationally, such as Muslim and Abortion Out Loud, My Story Out Loud. And we also partner with different brands to educate students about condoms and organizing taking birth control pills. And these are just a couple different ways that we do our work, and we'll dive into a bit more of those.
Wow, Sage, I am so excited to learn more about each of these program areas. Look at this brilliance, look at this magic. How does it all happen? I think the first program area we're going to be turning to is youth resource. Let's hear more about that.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ramonte Butler. I use he, him, and his. I'm the Senior Program Manager of LGBTQ Health and Rights Advocates. And I'm here to talk about Youth Resource, which is a year-long leadership development program. It's specifically by and for LGBTQ young people of color, ages 13 to 24. You don't have to be on a college campus. We just ask or hope that folks are a part of a community organization or a civil organization doing work in their communities. Some of the campaigns that young people are working on include access to sex ed, that's LGBTQ inclusive, access to PrEP on college campuses, or even working with your high school or college's LGBTQ youth resource program. A lot of things we do include working on Trans Awareness Week, which is every year in November, really doing actions and storytelling through a digital campaign known as My Story Out Loud, in addition to working on resources, including a recent launch about creating safer spaces for LGBTQ youth.
Beautiful. Wow. If you think that's the focus area, that's a campaign for you, make a note of it, but stay tuned to hear about the rest first.
In addition, another campaign that I co-lead is known as Engaging Communities Around HIV Organizing. Very similar to Youth Resource, this group is young people ages 13 to 24, except it's young people specifically living with HIV. They're organizing campaigns in their communities around sex education, access to HIV treatment, prevention, and care policies without parental consent, but ensuring confidentiality, and really to bust stigma. The young people organize around AIDS Awareness Week, which is at the end of November, and specifically support April 10th, which is National Youth HIV and AIDS Awareness Day. Another campaign that I'll talk about more after. So if you're interested, feel free to check it out and apply.
Amazing. I'm so excited to get to talk to y'all a bit about Know Your Nine and what we do. And thank you, Monty, so much for explaining those awesome programs. What amazing work. So Know Your Nine is a survivor and youth-led campaign. And I want to note that while many of the folks leading our team identify as survivors, not everyone does. And so you're welcome to join if you do. You're welcome to join if you don't. But our team is built up of survivors and youth ages 15 to 24 who are organizing locally on their campuses and in their communities for better protections for student survivors and education. And our team accomplishes our mission to end violence in schools through kind of three different bucket areas. One, we educate college and high school students about their rights under Title IX, so ensuring that students know what their legal rights are in school and to organize through those legal rights. We also train organizers and support student activists to challenge their institutions and hold them accountable when they violate our rights. So you may have seen some of the campaigns that we've run before. A great example is working with students like Princeton, who held a giant sit-in on their campus after they continuously violated student survivors' rights. We help survivors plan sit-ins, plan large actions, and train them how to hold schools accountable, and help with other media and supportive ways to really escalate those campaigns into the national conscious. And then we also advocate for policy change at the campus, state, and federal levels. So we maybe are working in a state with legislators to try to pass really comprehensive bills that would support survivors' access to education. We may be working at a campus to pass really strong policies, or at the federal level to organize for better Title IX protections. Some campaigns that we've worked on that you may have seen are our Hands Off 9 campaign, where we organized against the Trump administration and their rollbacks around Title IX that Betsy DeVos really led. So we worked with students to make sure that they could respond to these regulations and let them know that these regulations would harm survivors, would cause additional pain, and push students out of school to try to stop the regulation. And then we also worked with students to try to organize to pass the best possible policy on their campus and get the best possible support for survivors. Right now, we're working against the Biden administration to push for better protections under Title IX, reverse Betsy DeVos's regulation on Title IX, and pass really proactive policies that would keep survivors in school. We also work on localized campaigns on campuses. And really what we're looking for with the Know Your Nine team is strong organizers who are excited to teach other students how to run effective and strong campaigns at their school, and also organize against the Department of Education at a national level for better protections for all survivors. I'm so excited to have you.
Oh my goodness, Sage, so good to hear. Love to hear what Know Your Nine has been up to. So exciting. I'm here to tell y'all a little bit more about the Muslim Youth Leadership Council, MILC. It's a group of Muslim identifying young people ages 16 to 24. And the four main bucket areas that we work on are countering Islamophobia through campaigns that shift the narrative, such as the #MuslimAnd campaign, where we expand on all the diverse, amazing identities that Muslim people can hold and emphasize that Muslim people are not a monolith. We also work on supporting LGBTQ Muslims in all their diversity in all their spaces, countering anti-Blackness in Muslim spaces, and strengthening the sexual health and reproductive rights of Muslim communities. Some of the ways in which we do this work are social media campaigns. We also create resources such as the I'm Muslim and Might Not Be Straight resource. We are working on a countering anti-Blackness in Muslim spaces resource, and we do community organizing as well, both in mainstream LGBTQ and in mainstream Muslim spaces. So if that sounds like work you want to be doing, sign up, let me know, and I'm excited to see y'all soon.
Hello, everyone. My name is Miranda. I use she, her pronouns, and I manage the Abortion Out Loud campaign, which works to end abortion stigma and strengthen support for young people's access to abortion. We sort of divide the work that we do into three main categories, which are policy, practical support, and storytelling. Within our policy work, we're looking to challenge laws that make it hard to access an abortion for young people on the state, campus, local, and national level. So this looks like trying to improve access to medication abortion on campus, removing parental involvement laws, and any other barriers, including insurance coverage that might stop a young person from being able to access the abortion they need. We also work around practical support. So that means creating or joining practical support networks that tangibly remove barriers for young people's access to abortion, like funding, logistics, that sort of thing. And finally, we cultivate the power of abortion storytellers, so young folks that have had abortions, to uplift their narratives in the press with policymakers and to sort of challenge the mainstream assumptions that people make about who gets an abortion. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, the program is for folks ages 14 to 24 in or out of school. And happy to answer any other questions you might have at the end. I'll pass it back to Sage or Ramesh.
So much, Miranda. So excited to learn about ALL. And now pass it to Ramesh to learn a bit more about IVILC.
All right. The International Youth Leadership Council is a space where we bring together a group of DC-based college students to work on advancing sexual and reproductive health and rights in the global South. So basically, we look at and we recognize the fact that IYLCers are DC-based students, and they're able to use their positionality being in DC to advocate for better sexual and reproductive health in global South spaces and undo some of the damage that's been done. IWLC members can work on a wide range of issues such as sex education, international family planning, and contraception access. They work on abortion, global HIV and AIDS work, gender equality, harmful practices like child marriage and female genital mutilation, and supporting LGBTQ rights internationally. Some of the ways in which we accomplish this work is through showing up again and again in UN spaces and advocating for those most marginalized by certain policies, connecting with orgs throughout the Global South to change narratives around international SRHR, and launching congressional lobbying campaigns to increase funding for family planning internationally. So if this sounds like your place, if you're a policy wonk, if you're based in DC, let us know and join the International Youth Leadership Council.
Hi folks, my name is Rosalind Buensi-Sasso. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm one of the Youth Activist Network managers.
Hey, my name's Anu. I use they, she pronouns, and I'm also a Youth Activist Network manager.
So we oversee the student organizing team, and student organizers are high school and college students who run strategic issue-based campaigns for racial justice, reproductive justice, LGBTQ rights, workers' rights, survivors' rights, and much more to make material improvements in student lives at the local, state, and national level. So some of the requirements to join this council are that you have to be based at a high school, trade school, college, or university, and be between the ages of 14 to 24. So I'll pass it on to Anu to talk more about some of the organizing work folks do.
Thanks, Rosalind. So during the Youth Activist Institute, which is our annual conference, and throughout the year, Rosalind and I train and support each student organizer one-on-one to campaign effectively for change at their school by building a base of supporters and pressuring Target to meet student demands. We're primarily looking for students who are leaders or have leadership roles in a student organizing group already on campus. And some of the issues our organizers have campaigned for in the past include organizing for free menstrual products, access to free STI testing and free condoms, creating and updating HIV policy and access to PrEP, and implementing comprehensive sex ed on campus. So if you're a student and you fit all of the requirements to join this group and you're really interested in organizing at your campus or your school, sign up. Feel free to sign up, and looking forward to getting to know y'all better.
Hey everyone, my name is Kinja Kiyama. I use she and her pronouns. I'm the Associate Director of Youth Organizing here at Advocates. So I work with YWalk for Reproductive Justice, a group of young women and non-binary folks of color, age 14 to 24, based around the US. So if you're interested in applying to YWalk, so members either have to organize a grassroots campaign or a mutual aid project in their local community. And two examples of YWalk leaders work this year. We have one YWalk leader in California who's organizing for the Menstrual Equity Act, a campaign for state legislation that would make menstrual products available for free in all California public schools. And then another example, we have a YWalk leader based in Louisiana leading a project called Big Easy EC that distributes emergency contraceptives to young folks all throughout New Orleans. So folks can either be a student or not, but ideally folks who apply to YWalk are members of a student or community organization. And in addition to doing this sort of like localized grassroots work in their communities, YWalk leaders also create a newsletter and plan events for a nationwide group of young women and non-binary folks of color, the YWalk Collective. So if you apply to YWalk and get accepted, you'll get in-depth training and support for your local organizing and mutual aid work as a YWalk Leadership Council member. So if you're a young person of color interested in organizing for reproductive justice, I really recommend applying to YWalk.
Hi everyone, my name is Angela. I use she and they pronouns, and I lead the Free the Pill Youth Council. So the Free the Pill Council is made up of organizers aged 14 to 24 working to get the birth control pill available over the counter without age restrictions and covered by insurance. And we do this by engaging communities on this issue and providing education about the barriers that young people face to accessing birth control. So you don't need to be a student for the Free the Pill Council. You can do this in your own community or on your campus if that applies to you. So an example of some work we've done is putting together the Free the Pill virtual store. This is a virtual environment that you can see a little snippet of here on the screen on the left-hand corner. And this is a virtual environment that helps us envision a world where the pill is available over the counter, and then also take action to work towards making that a reality. So that's Free the Pill, and I'll pass it back to Sage and Ramesh.
Look at all these councils. I want to sign up for all of them. Oh my goodness. All right, folks. I'm sure that people have questions. Please drop those in the chat and we will get to them. Yeah. Or if you have no questions, tell us what program you're excited about in the chat.
Yeah, in the meantime, I can get us started with some questions. My name is Jeff. I use he and him pronouns. I'm the Senior Manager of Digital Campaign Strategy at Advocates. And I think one question we always get that let's just get out of the way right away is some folks usually wonder, is this a job? Is this a fellowship? Is it an internship? Is it paid? Like, how does that whole system work?
Thanks so much for the question, Jeff. So I think that what's really important to know is that no, this isn't a full-time position. I will say that each team has different monthly or weekly requirements of how much time they expect you to give. For Know Your 9, we usually do about 7 to 10 hours a week. For other folks, it's about 3 to 5 hours a week. And we provide a stipend for your organizing work for each semester, and also other paid opportunities. So other opportunities maybe to speak on panels or to write an op-ed or to give a presentation. So there are other opportunities that are paid, but this is not a full-time job or a fellowship, but is instead an opportunity for mentorship and organizing nationally or in your community with additional stipends to support you and face-to-face time with organizers to provide you support.
Great. Thank you so much. Another question we get a lot is, so we just saw 9 different programs. Do applicants have to apply? Do they apply to Advocates as a whole, and then we pick what program they want? Or if they're interested in more than one program, do they have to apply more than one time? Or do they just apply to one program and cross their fingers?
Thank you so much, Jeff. So, and oh my goodness, well, I'm losing all my words right now. So you typically only apply for one program that you're the most interested in, and you'll do an interview with us. We'll walk through your interview and see if you're a good fit. In my experience, if we maybe get an interview with someone that we're like, oh, this is a really great organizing person, but they're just not maybe a great fit for the team that they're applying to, we'll reach out to the coordinator that we think that they would be a really good fit for and see if they might be interested in doing an interview with them as well, or including them in their program. So we recommend applying to one program so that you have a chance of getting an interview of engaging. And then if we think that maybe you're a better fit for a different team, we'll pass that information along to the person coordinating the team. Also, there's other opportunities to engage outside of just that individual team. So we have different collective opportunities that you can engage in. So if maybe you're not a part of the Know Your 9 team, and that like we could consider kind of like the leadership team, then we want to ensure that everyone that would want to be doing this work can still engage, can still organize with us, and can still continue moving forward. And so, for example, like Know Your 9, we put folks into, or we ask folks if they'd like to join 9CAN, which is our campus action network. And that is a space where folks can we do monthly meetings on resources, trainings, we share information, and also all national organizing opportunities we share with folks beforehand for different campaigns they can plug into. So even if you're not accepted to maybe one of the main teams, you can still plug into our different collectives.
Great. Okay, so I think that's a great transition. So it sounds like it is one application. You just pick your number one organizing team, and then there's more options to get involved in the other team. What if either you are not picked, or you go through all of this and you go, none of this really applies to me. I just want to do like one thing here and there. I feel like there might be other options for you. Is there a slide on it? There is.
So there's different ways that folks can get engaged, and here's a couple different versions of our collective. I'm going to pass it on over to Kendra to talk a bit more about our Youth Activists Collective and the YWalk Collective.
Yeah, so I'll post the sign up links for all these in the chat in a second, but our Youth Activist Collective is basically open to activists between age 14 and 24 all around the US. And basically you would get exclusive invitations to trainings, events. We also publish a newsletter for folks as well. So that's basically, you know, if you want a way to plug in that isn't necessarily being part of like a more involved leadership program. We also have, you know, the YWAC Collective, which is a group for young women and non-binary folks of color. So basically that is, you know, the YWAC leadership's team, broader network, and at the same, similar to the Youth Activist Collective, you would get invited to exclusive events and receive our newsletter focused on reproductive justice. And I'll pass it to Miranda to talk a little bit about the Youth Abortion Support Collective.
Hi, yes. So the Youth Abortion Support Collective is a network of about 200 young people who are interested in being part of mutual aid or collective support networks around the country around abortion access. So that can mean raising money for abortion, helping to support folks in their community who need abortion access. And this is a bit lower commitment. So it's a once a month training that is provided by Advocates for Youth, but it is like a really great option if you're already doing abortion funding work or support work and want a bigger community of young folks that you can be a part of. And I saw a couple questions about abortion in the chat. I will get to those when we get to the general Q&A.
Monty, I wonder if you'd be able to share a little bit about NIAD.
Awesome, thank you. So NIAD is National Youth HIV and AIDS Awareness Day. It's a collective of young people putting on actions beyond April 10th. And on April 10th, it really centers the voices and experiences of young people living with or impacted by HIV. So if you're interested in working with your college campus to, you know, work on, you know, ensuring that folks have access to HIV testing, or you're working to ensure that, you know, your high school includes a curriculum on HIV that's medically accurate and not stigmatizing, folks can apply 13 to 24. And there are not many requirements, really just thinking about ways to amplify the day on April 10th and then one additional HIV awareness day.
And I'm going to pass it on over to Rosalind and Anu to talk about the Youth Activist Alliances.
Yeah, so we have the Youth Activist Alliances, and to join, you don't have to be a student, but you do have to be between the ages of 14 and 24 and based in Minnesota, Kentucky, Texas, Nevada, or Alabama. And these alliances are youth-led, local or state-level grassroots organizations campaigning for youth sexual health and rights and reproductive justice. So by becoming a member, you'll have the opportunity to volunteer for a local campaign for change, be supported by our alliance leaders in your organizing, and join a powerful base of young activists in your area. We really hope you consider joining because these chapters are truly led by youth activists, and yeah.
Awesome. I also saw a couple questions about international folks. Most of our program areas that we talked about today are open just to folks who are based in the United States, regardless of citizenship status, they're open to you. If you are based internationally and interested in our work, please sign up for the International Youth Activist Network. We convene people who are acting throughout the world, particularly in the global South with respect to like reproductive health and rights, LGBTQ health and rights, and other issue areas that you heard about today. And now I think that we will open it up to questions, and I think Kinjo is going to be facilitating that for us.
Yes, thanks so much everyone who's posted questions in the chat so far. I encourage you to, you know, keep posting questions if you have them. So the first one I saw was, how many programs are you allowed to sign up for? So basically you should kind of pick like what your ideal program is that you would want to be in, like your first choice, and apply for that. And then when you get to the end of the Google form application, there'll be an option where you can select to be like considered for any other councils that you're interested. So basically you can only be in one at a time. And when you're applying, I would just recommend that you pick like your first choice and then sort of select like, okay, if I didn't get into this council, which other council would I be in? Or if you're just interested in multiple, like I just encourage you to select those options at the end of the form. But when you're selected, you're only allowed to be in one program at a time. However, if you become a member of, you know, any of our collectives that we just had up on the screen, like our activist alliances or the YWAC collective, you can also be a member of a program, but you can't be a member of two programs that we just showed on the screen at once. And then the other question I saw is, what are reviewers looking for in application answers? I can speak for YWAC, and then maybe I'll pass it to some of my coworkers to share sort of like what they're looking for in their councils. For YWAC, I'm mostly looking for folks who are interested in leading a reproductive justice project in their local community. So this could look like either a grassroots campaign for a specific demand, like for example, making menstrual products free, or just something for a specific change in your local community, or leading a mutual aid project or network, like distributing emergency contraceptives, condoms, diapers, all sorts of other materials that folks really need. So basically, that's for YWAC specifically, and I'll pass it to other folks to maybe share sort of like what they're looking for.
Yeah, I would say I think I'm always really excited to see the campaigns that folks have run or things that they've worked on in their community and on their campus. I think it's really, at least for Know Your Nine, because our structure is that we're looking for folks that maybe are already organizing their community, already working on projects to really support other student activists and building this movement for survivors' work. So really looking to see folks that can articulate the campaigns that they've worked on, some struggles that they've had at campaigns, and things that they're excited to continue working on, so we can see where we can plug you in and the skills you have. And also always love hearing about hard skills and the things that folks like to work on, because we want to make sure that so bringing you on, there's space for you to do the things that bring you joy and things that nourish your soul. And so want to hear about the things that you like to work on and that you're really interested in doing. Do other folks have ideas?
I can share. Ramesh, are you about to go?
Go for it.
Okay. For Abortion Out Loud, kind of similar to what everyone was saying, to be honest. But I also just really love specificity. So I think like my favorite applications are the ones where obviously you don't need to be like an expert in whatever you want to do, but where you come in with like some ideas, some like examples or like issues you want to be a part of through your work on the campaign. That's my favorite because I think it's the easiest to run with if someone comes to me with an idea and we can just together work on it and be like, great, here's what we're doing.
I see someone asking if we could repeat the program names. Is it possible, Jeff, for you to share the screen again? We could just really quickly go through the slides and I'll read them out maybe for folks who are on the phone. Thank you. Okay, so we have a total of 10 councils you can be a part of. The first is Youth Resource. The second is Engaging Communities Around HIV Organizing, or ECHO. The next one is Know Your Nine. And then the next one is our Muslim Youth Leadership Council. And then we have Abortion Out Loud, the International Youth Leadership Council, student organizers, YWAC for Reproductive Justice, Free the Pill, and that's it.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to tell you about Advocates for Youth, what we do with our organizing, and the ways that you can get involved.